What's happening, lads and lassies? It's Ocean from the South Stand back again for another video as Sunderland take on Burnley at the Stadium of Light in Monday Night Football. And look, I don't know about you guys, but this one to me feels like a little bit of a banana skin waiting to happen. I don't know if I've been traumatised a little bit off Burnley in the last couple of seasons. It just seems to be to me that anytime I have any sort of faith playing this game, that we just get beat. And it's like the same way as when we play Coventry for me. It's that same similar vibe. So hopefully it is just me. I'm the negative one to hear, and we're actually going to come out of this game with something. But let's discuss one of the main headlines for Sunderland over the last few days. Look, Shara here Trowder to Liverpool. Now, I'm recording this one on Monday morning, and it seems to me that he won't be making that move across to Liverpool. It seems like Sunderland were happy to let him go. Leipzig were obviously happy to let him do whatever was needed, really. And it was, I think he actually played for Slot before. So, but yeah, it seems like he knows the coach. They've got a good relationship from previous times together. And it seemed like it was pretty much set to go. The only thing keeping it from happening was the fact that Sunderland needed to find a replacement. But it seems like today, based on the news that's came out, that there was just too many moving parts and Liverpool have actually pulled out from doing it. And for me, it's one of them ones where I wasn't amazing. Like, I wasn't that happy with this move actually happening, mainly because I feel like he's been so underutilised even in our team right now. I mean, last week, for example, I still, a week later, cannot wrap my head around Regis's choice not to play him in that central role alongside No Siddiqui. It seemed like the most obvious replacement in the world for Granit Xhaka, and it just never happened. So I'm not really surprised that he finds himself not wanting to hang around at Sunderland for too long, because he hasn't really been shown the minutes, and I think he's got all the quality to go and play for a top team. I mean, he's a Dutch international getting called up to the national team and can't get a game for Sunderland. So I'm not too surprised by his choice to want to move on, but I am glad if we're keeping him that we are keeping. So what does this mean for Sunderland's game against Burnley? Because I can't imagine him going from what seemed like a nailed-on Liverpool move to then joining the starting lineup this week, even though that would have been the choice that I would have went for if this whole thing happened. So starting lineup-wise, I think it's got to be, last week's probably got to be the time that we say Trey Hume can't be a starting right winger. It's fine when he's playing a more wing-back role where he's still got a lot of the defensive duties, but just as an out-and-out starting winger, I don't think we offered anywhere near enough from the wings, and we haven't done for me for a lot of the season. And I'm coming at this one saying, right, well, how can we counteract that? Because Traore is out, and I would say that he probably is our most nailed-on winger out of any of them. Even then, I'm not massively confident in Traore either. I do honestly believe that Sunderland are going to have to go out and get new wingers in the summer, and that's after a summer where we've just pretty much put a lot of our money into getting wingers. But yeah, look, starting lineup wise, I'm going to go for the same back four that we've seen last week. I think that's pretty much our nailed on back four, no question. So Ronaldo, Alderete, Ballard, and then Mukiele over in that right wing position. And then moving to the central midfield, I think for this game, we cannot go out in anything other than a 4-3-3. And it's just got to be, I mean, we're looking at the game last week, and for me, we were ran through in the middle. I think West Ham had so much control. They ran through us in the middle. They also just were so dominant on the wings compared to us. I think our wingers and their wingers were night and day to each other in their effect on the game. But for me, I'm looking at this in the Sunderland team and what we've got available. I think Diarra has to start. Surely to God he's got the fitness by now. It seems like he was all right last week. Even if he starts for the bulk of the game and then comes off, I would rather that than bring him on with so little time left, and he never really had much of a chance to affect anything. So for me, it's got to be Enzo Lefebvre, Noah Siddiqui, and Diarra in a midfield three. That has to be the option here, because I cannot see us doing another two, and I just cannot see Trey Hume going out in the right wing and Diarra sitting on the bench again. That can't be the case. I understand why, with him coming back from injury, why it had to happen before, but now it just, for me, it can't be. And then I get to the troubled spot, because, of course, Brian Broadbey's starting striker. That's absolutely no problem. But wingers, I am still struggling to really pick out the starters and find out what to go for, because Enzo Lefebvre is a better option in the wing than the actual wingers we have. However, I think we're lacking so much creativity in the middle, and yes, Diarra should help out with that, but I think we have to have Enzo staying centrally, so it leaves us with the midfield, with the winger options of Calby, Adingra, Mundo, and Mayenda. And for me, I was just thinking through this today, trying to rack out, right, what options do we have? Because so far this season, I feel like Brian Broadbey, we've all spoke about it, he is not getting the service that he needs. He's not anywhere, he's not getting the ball given to him in a position where he can actually go and score. we're relying so much on him for his hold-up play, like punting the ball long to him, getting him to hold it up. That's all fine and well, but we're never giving him a chance to get closer to the goal and actually be the striker to put away the shot. And with him holding up the ball so often, I feel like he's knackering himself out, holding up that ball and then trying to get in the position to score, and the ball's never reaching that part. So for me, we have to play more centrally. And in terms of wingers, I'm probably going to end up going for Adingra and Mayenda. Now, anyone that's watched this channel knows I'm actually not a massive fan of Adingra. I just think that Romain Mundo so far hasn't quite been up to speed, and I'd like to see if he can come on and impact the game from like 60, 70 minutes onwards, rather than having to carry the bulk of the game out in the wings, because I think a lot of it for me was his decision making, not choosing to pass the ball when the pass seemed obvious, choosing not to dribble in and take on his man when that seemed like the best option. I don't know, he just doesn't seem to have quite found his feet at Premier League level yet, even though I think if Romain Mundo does manage to get up to speed, he will be the most devastating out of any of our wingers if that happens. But I think we're going to have to go for Adingra. And then over on the other side, I'm going to go for Mayenda. I know Talby's back, but I think maybe last week was probably a more poor game for Mayenda, and he can improve on that. And I just think Talby gives us so much off the bench, and that's still an important aspect of the game. Yes, the starters are obviously the most important thing, but you've got to have options off the bench. And I think that Talbot is a great option off of the bench. So for me, looking at that, probably start with Adingra and Mundo, even though I'm not massively in love with those options either, to be honest. But yeah, that would be my starting options. And as I said, it has to be a more central playing game. I mean, we looked at it the last time we played Burnley. We had so much of the ball and done absolutely nothing with it in the final third. We found Burnley so hard to break down, and I don't suppose that'll be any different this time round, especially with them being away from home. I think that's something Burnley have got really comfortable in, and they try. That's something, for me, that's something Burnley have gotten really comfortable in, sitting back deep and being a pretty decent counter-attacking team. Like they're really quite effective at turning over their chances and creating goals out of them. I think the thing that's keeping me a little bit more excited about that is the fact that it's Amanda Broya up front for them, and I'm just not a fan of the guy. I don't think he's good enough for Premier League level. I'm saying all this now. He'll score against us on he'll score against us tonight. Watch it happen. But yeah, I think with this Burnley team, they're going to be so hard to break down. And that's one of the bigger reasons as well why I think having Diana and Lefay in central roles will help that out, because last time we got to the final third and just passed it from the wing, round into the middle, back out to the other side, back into the middle, back out into the other side, really scared of trying to penetrate that kind of defence and actually get in there. And this time I think with Brian Brobby's hold-up play, but with those more central players in behind him, I think we need to play a more narrow game than we did last time. The width never really helped us out last time against Burnley. And I think if we can play through the central lines into Brian Brobby, have him hold up the ball, but then have options close by so that he can pass and move, because some of the goals he's scored this season off of a 1-2, where he initially gets the ball, holds it up, lays it off and moves. That's his best movement. It's such an effective movement for him. Other defenders find him so hard to stop. So yes, that has to be what we go for this time, in my opinion. So look, what we're thinking of this one, because I can see it being the type of game where Sunderland hold a hell of a lot of possession and then Burnley counter-attack and score. That seems to be what they do against us every single time, and they're effective at it as well. And I think Burnley, given the fact that they've played against us now for a number of seasons in a row and tend to get a pretty good game out of us, I think they'll come into this one feeling confident. So we have to go with energy from the start. And for me, the senior players have to step up this week, because last week against West Ham, there was a real lack of authority, a real lack of maturity, I think, in a lot of those senior players. I mean, Ronaldo, no, maybe not so much Ronaldo, but more so Alderete, Mukiele, Enzo Lefay. Like, not that Enzo lost his head last week, but Alderete and Mukiele losing their heads, not being particularly great on the ball. I think all of those players need to step up and take this game into their own hands, because we can't rely on Granit Xhaka just to be the only thing that gets his wins. We're coming to this one, Burnley are off the back of 4 draws in a row, and I honestly could probably see that being the case again here. They've managed to pick up some really good points against Man City, against Liverpool, and yeah, I can see that probably being the case against here. We need to see those senior players step up and actually come with a game plan and execute it, and create those attacking options for the forwards. But yes, that's what I'm going to go for today. I think in this one, look, reluctantly, I'm going to say one each. I do think we need to really look at getting some points on the board again, because we have been stagnant across 2026 so far. Not massively surprised off the back of AFCON, come back into things. Obviously, huge injuries to the likes of Granit Xhaka, but I think we're starting to stagnate a little bit in the Premier League. If you stagnate, you're going backwards. So I think we're going to have to really, really try and aim for 3 points here, even though I don't actually have a great feeling about it. I think it screams of a one each to me. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, guys. That's all for today. As per usual, this one's brought to you by the southstandclothing.com. So go and check out the South Stand for all your Sunderland fan wear, hats, t-shirts, mugs, the lot of it. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Catch you.